And we're going to go ahead and kick it off now. I'm your moderator, Ebony, and I'm in the Marketing and Communications Department. And I'm here with Julie Cipriano with our Master's in Counseling admissions process. And she'll be sharing all the ins and outs. I'll just be here behind the scenes, accepting your questions and making sure that we can all be on the same page. So thank you, Julie, for coming today.
Thanks for inviting me, Ebony. I'm excited to do this webinar with you and everybody else.
All right. So we'll just give a little bit of background history as far as DMU and our mission. DMU is a Catholic institution comprised of two schools. That's our School of Counseling and our School of Psychology. We're dedicated to a scientific study of psychology with a Catholic Christian understanding of the person, marriage, and family. We were founded in 1999 as the Institute for the Psychological Sciences. And in 2014, the Institute launched its MS in Psychology program with its focus on educating working professionals. And we also we were renamed to Divine Mercy University in 2016, actually, I believe, with the addition of the School of Counseling. So that's just a little bit of background information as far as where we come from, how long we've been around. And we are also an accredited institution. Julie, you do a great job of going through this slide, so I'll kick it on over to you.
Thanks, Ebony. I appreciate that introduction to the university. So yeah, our Divine Mercy University is regionally accredited. Regional accreditation is the baseline accreditation someone should look for when they're evaluating colleges or trying to decide between programs. It's the baseline for accreditation in the US. So the way it works is every area of the country has its own accrediting agency established by the Fed, and each agency has a different name. So ours happens to be called SACS, which stands for Southern Association. You see the name there under the first SACS logo. So SACS region goes from where we are in Virginia all the way down around to Texas. So UT, Auburn, UVA, all those schools are accredited by SACS, just as we are. When you start talking though about psychology and counseling, there are a couple of extra accreditations that can be earned. APA is the big one, American Psychological Association. Our doctoral program did receive APA accreditation back in 2016. We became only the second school in the whole history of the APA to receive the full 7-year accreditation grant on the first try. We really crushed it. So that's the psychology kind of accreditation. And when you start talking about counseling, the extra accreditation for that type of program is known by the acronym CACREP. You see that there at the bottom. So CACREP is something we are working towards. We're committed to earning it for our students. It's a great thing to have. We are about at the tail end of that accreditation process. We've done everything that's required of us. We're really just waiting for CACREP to schedule an on-site review, and please pray with us that the accreditation is awarded. We have every expectation that it will be, but we just can't promise it till we have it. So we are probably 12 to 15 months from wrapping it up, even though it's just that one last step. It does take a bit of time. Once we have this accreditation, our doctoral program, once we have this accreditation, our degree will be signed in excuse me, guys. Let me start over. Once we earn CACREP, our degree will be fine in 48 states. Right now it's fine in 39. So the 9 states that do require it will come on board with us after we have earned our CACREP accreditation. So CACREP is for counseling programs and APA is for psychology programs. So I saw someone asked a question, Ebony, about counseling. If APA covers counseling, it does not. It's for the psychology side. Okay. So our school is different because We do offer an integrated approach, a holistic understanding of the person. If you have not been able to read through our Catholic Christian meta model of the person yet, I encourage you to search it on our website or just write to me or Ebony. We'll be happy to send you the link. Unfortunately, every other school, including the Catholic ones, will tell their students that they have to check the faith at the door and that it doesn't have a place in therapy. And I'm sorry, that's just not true. We will teach from the perspective of the Catholic Christian understanding of the person, that we are integrated beings, body, mind, and soul. And our professors will teach the students to frame a treatment plan based on that understanding of the person, so that whether your client believes in God or wants to talk about God is beside the point. The objective truth of who we are and how we were created does not hinge on the belief or unbelief of a person. So you can help them reach flourishing with this model. And it is unique to our university. It was developed by our faculty, and we would love to share it with you. All right, number one reason to get a master's in counseling. This degree does make you eligible to sit for your licensure exams and become a licensed mental health professional within your state. We do prepare you for those exams so that you're fully ready to take them and do well once you graduate. Typically, licensing once it happens after you graduate. The way it works is you have to sit for an exam, sometimes two, either national or state. And then, just like a doctor has to do a residency after medical school, it's similar for counselors in that you'll have to work under supervision for a time before you're fully licensed. So usually it takes about 2 years to wrap up the supervised hours. You're still working and being paid as a counselor during that time, but someone just talks with you about your cases and checks over your work to make sure all is well before they just turn you loose on the general public. I encourage you to check out counseling.org. They have a great state-by-state knowledge center, so you can just click on your state and it'll tell you exactly which exams you have to take. And it'll tell you how long you have to work under supervision. And there's also contact information for your state licensing board. So that's a great little research tool, counseling.org. I encourage you to check it out. Okay, reason number two to get a master's in counseling. Our program is a very special hybrid. We do have our share of the online, but we also have practical in-person experience, because let's face it, counseling is a helping and a people profession, and there are just going to be certain aspects of it that don't lend themselves to online learning. So we do have 3 residencies here on campus over a long weekend. The first one always happens 8 weeks after you begin. So for those of you who are thinking you might start school this August, you would come to your first residency here on campus in Virginia in mid-October. The second one is always a year later. The third one is 6 months to a year after that, depending on if you're full-time or part-time. Now, I know some people, the question has come up given the quarantine and all the concerns about that, you know, what are we going to do? Can we come to campus? Well, unfortunately, we have had to put the summer residency for the summer cohort online. They still get all of the training. We just can't come together as a group on campus. And that decision has not been made for October. I am hopeful that we'll all be able to be together on campus. But if we cannot, then we have a plan B in place that we will tell you about when the time comes, if it is necessary. Hopefully it will not be. So that's how quickly, how the spacing of them work. 8 weeks after you begin, 1 year later, and then 6 months to a year after that second one for the final one. The way it works is you arrive on a Wednesday evening and you stay through a Sunday afternoon. While you're here, they'll expect you to be on site and attend the whole program. There is a fee built in to the tuition that covers this training. The breakdown is $1,500 per residency, and it covers your hotel and most of your meals while you're here. So you will have to get a flight. You will have to spring for 1 or 2, maybe 3 meals while you're here, but those are legitimate financial aid expenses that we help you plan for. And then once you have got through the bulk of your online work and you have finished your 3rd residency, it'll then be time for practicum and internship. So of the 2, practicum comes first. These 2 are done in your own area based on the kind of counseling work you'd like to do. In your practicum, you'll do 100 hours of on-the-job training that gets you ready for the real hands-on counseling work of your internship. At least 40 of those 100 hours will be direct service with actual counseling clients. Once you've finished that training, you'll then step into your 2 internships. Each internship is 300 hours of work, and the 300 hours is spread out over 1 whole semester or 16 weeks. All right, so you can still fit it into your part-time or full-time schedule, depending on what pace you choose. We do have a director of internship who will work with you to help you identify the places in your area that would be best for you to work. So whether you are interested in addictions or trauma or marriage and family, you can choose your internship accordingly. Our internship placement is 100%. You will get one and we will help you. So that is not a worry. And then a little bonus, if you come to DMU, is our Center for Trauma and Resiliency Studies. So in addition to your coursework on trauma, you'll have an opportunity to work with Dr. Keys and the Green Cross through the Center for Trauma. That's a really great benefit to our students. You can earn certifications in trauma in addition to your regular studies. And you would also have an opportunity to deploy as a Green Cross mental health professional. So the Red Cross responds to disasters around the world to meet the material needs of disaster victims. And Green Cross is similar, but instead of responding to material needs, Green Cross handles the mental health needs of the first responders. So it's a really neat mission and ministry, and it's available to our students. And you can find out more about that on our website as well. All right, number 3 reason to get a master's in counseling at Divine Mercy University, our faculty. They are amazing. So our dean, Dr. Payne, is on the far left, and just to his right is Dr. Keys, who runs the Center for Trauma and Resiliency Studies. All of our core faculty are practicing and experienced clinicians, so they truly understand what you need to learn to live out a vocation as counselor. Also, you will be able, even though it's an online program, online hybrid, your professors will arrange for real-time regular meetings between themselves and you students to do things like question and answer, study group review. There will be, of course, times when it's just you and your computer, but you will absolutely get to know your faculty and have that chance to build the professional relationship with them if you choose to. Okay, great. 4th reason to get a master's in counseling from Divine Mercy University. There are a number of ways that you can use this degree. Most people choose to become clinical mental health counselors. There are a lot of different avenues you can pursue, and you will kind of focus your studies in your internship. Like I said, whether you're interested in addictions or trauma or marriage and family or seniors or youth or whatever it is you choose to do, you just choose your internship accordingly to specialize. And these are some of the many areas that you can choose to pursue as a counselor. You will be, once you pass your exams, a licensed mental health professional, able to accept insurance and help people reach flourishing through talk therapy. All right. Number 5. This program is great. It's available 24/7 whenever it suits you to access the material. So as long as you have your computer and the internet, you can be anywhere in the world you want to be and still do your schoolwork. The work is primarily done online, both synchronously and asynchronously. Those are just fancy tech terms. Asynchronous just refers to the traditional online learning you're thinking of. So it's available 24/7, as I said, whenever it suits you to access the material. And then the synchronous refers to the real-time meetings between the students and professors, where you'll do your study group and work closely with them. You will also work very closely with the other students in your cohort. This is not something you're going to learn on your own. You'll be working in small groups one-on-one remotely with the other students in your cohort to build your counseling skills and to build those important professional friendships and relationships that'll carry you through once you become a mental health professional. So best of both worlds in an online hybrid, and it's an excellent program. All right, are we going to watch a little of this video, Ebony?
No, not at this time. We'll be sure to include links to sample course material, only because sometimes the connection is not clear enough, but we'll be sure to include this in our follow-up email.
Okay, great. Yes, I encourage you to go ahead and look out for that email and watch these videos. They're not super long. Each one's less than 10 minutes, but it gives you a good sense to the introduction, and you'll get a little meeting with Dr. Payne, one-sided meeting with Dr. Payne, our dean. So Ebony, I saw a question from Claire. Could you read that to me again, please?
Yes, for the synchronous courses, when are they typically scheduled?
Excuse me, that's a great question. So the professors will schedule this to accommodate all of the U.S. time zones. Excuse me. So it's very likely that, thank you. The professors will schedule those real-time meetings to accommodate all 4 U.S. time zones. So it's very likely there'll be some that a student just can't make for whatever reason. So in that instance, they'll just record them, put them online for you to watch as you can, and then you join the discussion as it goes forward. So even if you can't make one, it's okay. You'll be able to keep up with everybody. All right, so we do have some entrance requirements. You do have to have a bachelor's degree with a GPA of 3.0 overall, or in your major, or in your last 60 credits. If you are a little below this requirement or you're not sure, don't worry, it's not a deal breaker. Just get in touch with me and I will help you work to see if we can either get a waiver for that requirement, or, there are, in calculating your credits, sometimes especially in your major, if you were close to it, it'll come up to a 3.0. But this requirement's not a deal breaker. Don't let it cost you any sleep. We do have an admissions process. There are a few documents that we'll require. We have an online application. We'll need transcripts, a letter of recommendation, etc. Not super burdensome, and I'd be happy to help you through the process. As you're working on your application, our financial aid experts will be in touch to start talking with you about scholarships, which ones you should pursue, and what you can reasonably expect from us given your particular financial situation. If you're an international student, you see there are a couple of extra requirements on the sidebar to the right, including the TOEFL. And if your transcripts are not in English and in a 4-point scale as they are in the US, they would need to be translated and or evaluated for US equivalency. All right, here's where it gets real, my friends. So the cost per credit that you see there, $841 a credit, is for the 1920 school year. Most schools will raise their tuition 2-3% in August our school is no different. When we have those numbers, we'll update our presentation. But for now, this is the cost. So it's $841 a credit. It's a 66 credit degree. 841 times 66 is 55,506. There's a technology fee of $50 per class for a total of $1,100. Lab fees are $375. That residency fee we talked about, that includes your hotel and your meals while you're here for your training. That's $1,500 per residency for a total of $4,500. So that, all those numbers together give you a total tuition value for the whole program, start to finish, of 61. Well, I think that's wrong, Ebony, actually. It should say 61,536. So sorry about that, guys. We'll fix that. 61,536. So a couple dollars off, but not significant. So Ebony, Jessica was asking about the residency fee. The dean does expect you to be on site and attend the whole program. You want to build those friendships and relationships with your fellow students. There is homework, so you want to be in the same place they are so that you can complete your homework. If you had some significant reason to be off campus and stay elsewhere, you could probably work that out with the dean, but they will not change the fee if you do that. So it's in your best interest really to be on site. You're welcome. Okay, so.
And there's another question about the deadline for submitting everything in the fall. We actually have a special offer, but could you address that as
right.
well?
I think, so the application fee is not on this document. That's why the number's off. That's why it maybe.
Okay, okay.
A little bit. Yeah, so the application fee is typically $55, but because you registered and attended this webinar, we are waiving the application fee for all attendees through, is it June 14th, Ebony?
June 1st. So we're working with everyone who's very optimistic. That's 5 days to get everything in, which is really a lot, but it's realistic for a lot of people. So if you want to save that money.
Yeah, and they don't have to complete all of their paperwork by the 1st, just that first sections 1 through 8 of the application for admission.
Yes.
It's a demographic form. It takes 20 or 30 minutes. You can do it today if you want to. And to waive that application fee, when you get to that place on the application, just click pay by check. And we have a list of attendees so we know who qualifies. All right, so we do have a number of ideas for ways to make this affordable. We do participate fully with the federal loan program, so if you felt like you wanted or needed a student loan, we could certainly help you with that. Some employers do have tuition reimbursement, so if you're working, check with the company you work for, see if this is a benefit that you might be able to take advantage of. Also, we are approved for the VA funding and the GI Bill. We're also a yellow ribbon school. So if you have those benefits or if they could be assigned to you, we can work with all of those. We also have a very strong in-house scholarship program. Most students find that they receive about somewhere between 10 and 20% of the cost of tuition just in internal scholarships. They're designed very nicely so that everybody qualifies for something. The way our scholarship program works is you can apply for 4 of them and you can accept 2 to hit that 15 to 20%. In addition to your application fee waiver, if you apply by June 1st, we're also giving a bonus scholarship, an extra $2,500 just for getting your paperwork started early. So they would add that to the 2 scholarships that you can accept. Some people use private funds. I would encourage you to check around any agencies, organizations, fraternal type organizations, your church, any nonprofit support you can find, we would match up to $2,000. So we do have a matching scholarship for outside nonprofit support that you can find for yourself. And then there's a secret weapon that not many people know about. It's a federal program called National Health Service Corps. And if you're willing to work in an area that the government has designated low income or underserved for a certain time after you graduate, this says 2 years. Check and see if that's accurate. I'm not certain that's the case, but please check. Anyway, if you agree to work in an area that the Fed has designated either low income or underserved, they'll give you up to $50,000 towards your student loan debt or towards your tuition costs. They'll either give it to you upfront as a scholarship so that you don't have to take loans, or they'll give it to you at the back end as a lump sum so that you can pay off your student loan debt. But since you have to work under supervision anyway after your exams, this is a fantastic way to go if you can work it out. So I encourage you to check it out. If you use your browser and search National Health Service Corps, it will come up first link, I promise. If you can't find it, send me an email. I'll be happy to share the link with you. All right, we do have some special scholarships that I'd like to just highlight. If you were a part of Focus in any way, a missionary staff, you know, any of that, we have a special scholarship. Please check with me, send me an email, or let me know what your role in Focus was. I'll be happy to help you with that. If you're a member of Regnum Christi or a Legion of Christ in any way, any affiliation with them, we have a special scholarship for them. If you are a veteran or an active duty military, we have a scholarship particular to you. And then if you're a public servant, a teacher, a healthcare worker, any kind of first responder, we have a scholarship for you as well. And we appreciate that service and want to acknowledge that. All right. So a few things to consider when you're trying to decide if this program is the right path for you. Do you have a deep desire to help heal the whole person and help people reach flourishing? Are you a person who would like to have a career that enables you to answer the question, how can I help? And to serve others. Consider what you can do to make a positive contribution in others' lives. Can you be an instrument of healing? And then finally, because I am the one who is on the hook to recommend you to the dean ultimately, I would like you to really seriously consider, if you were to apply and be admitted, can you commit to completing the program? Please ask yourself, are you a person who finishes what you begin? If so, we would love to work with you. All right, so the application process is not too challenging. It takes a little bit of work. There is an online application that has two parts. As I mentioned, the first part is just a 20 or 30-minute demographic form. You can do it today if you want to. It's just completing sections 1 through 8 qualifies you for the bonus scholarship I mentioned. It goes up to $2,500. So the first section qualifies you for $1,500. And then if you do your essays within 2 weeks of submitting that first part, then you qualify for the full $2,500. Once we have that first demographic portion in our hands, our financial aid experts will be in touch to start talking with you about scholarships, which ones you should pursue, and what you can reasonably expect from us given your particular financial situation. Once we have your scholarship work completed and your application documents have been submitted, we will set you up for your 2 online interviews. The first one is just a quick 30 minutes with me where we'll discuss why you're interested in counseling and that kind of thing. But largely it's a coaching session for the big interview, which is a 3-hour online group interview with 2 or 3 other applicants and 2 faculty members. Once you have passed the interview, we will send you an acceptance letter. You will be launched into your orientation, and class will begin on August 19th. Somebody had asked earlier about the deadline. It is going to be probably late July. However, because it's a multi-step application process and because the interview spots are finite, I would encourage you, do not wait till the last minute. You know, I've seen far too many people miss out because they didn't get an interview spot because they waited too long. So don't let that happen to you. Also, I would like to suggest that it's probably prudent to be at the front of the scholarship line and not at the end of the scholarship line. Okay.
And we've also come into having a wait list. Isn't that right, Julie?
Yes, that has come up. So better to just knock it out early and rest on your laurels for the rest of the summer until it's time to start orientation. Okay. All right. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you listening to our presentation on our Master's in Clinical Mental Health Counseling. Don't forget to click Pay by Check when you fill out your application so you don't have to pay that fee. You see my contact information there. If you have questions that I didn't answer or you need a little clarification, I'm happy to talk with you. Just pick up the phone and give me a shout. If I can't answer immediately, I will get back to you right away. And Ebony, I think we had a few questions that I haven't answered yet that came up in the chat.
Yes. Let me look through them. So yes, there will be a video recording provided via email. I see a few of those questions coming in. How many years does it take to complete as a full-time student?
Oh, excellent question. So if you enroll full-time, you're looking at a 36 to 40-hour week commitment, and you can finish the degree in 2 years, 8 months, but it's like having a full-time job. If you enroll part-time, the commitment is half that, 18 to 20-hour week commitment, but it takes 4.5 years to finish the degree at that pace.
All right. Can you transfer in any graduate credits from another university?
Yes, you can transfer up to 12 credits from another institution. The dean and the registrar will review the course titles and syllabi to determine what credits, if any, will transfer. Typically, because it's so specialized and because it's a clinical program, if you're not transferring in from another counseling program, it's highly likely that other master's program credits will not transfer. But please ask, it's worth a shot.
Do you give any credit for work experience?
No. Love you? No.
Is there a theology bachelor's a good match for the master's degree? I guess that's your background, theology.
I always tell people who come to me with this question, especially if they're still in their undergrad, what matters is your grades. So if you really love interpretive underwater basket weaving and that's what you want to get your bachelor's in, do it. If that's what's going to get you a 4.0, study that. Most of our students come to us without any psychology or training, you know, in their undergrad. So study what you love. That will give you great GPA. If you've graduated and your great GPA is a little bit less than what you had hoped, then that's okay. Call us and we'll help you. Did I answer that question, Ebony?
Oh yeah, I love the basket weaving. I would never thought about that before. A master's bachelor's degree. But hey, it's something for everybody, right?
That's right.
All right. So the next question is about the GRE. Is taking the GRE and getting a score required? And also, is there a deadline for getting the score?
Okay, so this is a good question. Now, I'm just going to qualify the remarks I'm about to give with warning you that this is particular to our institution. So if you're looking at another college or university, they may treat the GRE differently than we do. What I'm telling you is for our school and our school only. Yes, the GRE is required. We need you to do it. We do not care what you get. Just do it. Don't worry about your score. If I had to take the score for this program, I would go tomorrow, I'd mark C for every answer and send my scores. You can be fully admitted before we ever see your GRE. We do not consider the GRE when making admissions decisions. You can be fully admitted, as I said, before we ever see your scores. So if you apply and you're admitted, you would need to take the GRE no later than about the first week of August so that the score would be in our hands by the first day of school. So I usually recommend that people who do care what they get on the exam, that's great. Some people want to do well. I would recommend setting a date so that you have a target in mind. Get a book that teaches good strategy. I happen to like Cracking the GRE by Princeton Review. I like it because it teaches excellent strategy and because it's less than 20 bucks on Amazon. I would spend the time between now and test day studying a little strategy and then just go rip that Band-Aid off. This is not something that should give you any angst, any anxiety. We just need you to do it. We don't care what you get.
All right.
Could I answer all of the questions, Ebony?
And then there's, I want to say it's two more. Actually, three questions that deal with the same exact thing. Can you switch between full-time and part-time? So everybody's kind of, can you switch back and forth? I'm guessing that's something the dean would need to be involved in.
Yeah, it's because we're such a small school, it's a pretty simple process. It's a little more complicated than me shouting down the hall to the registrar, but I think I might have to actually walk down the stairs, but that's okay. People do it all the time. If you find that life circumstances mean that you need to slow down and just be part-time in the summer, you absolutely can do that. Your scholarships follow you. We just adjust them, the disbursement accordingly. So not a huge deal.
Got it. And yeah, definitely. I saw a comment that the GRE must be taken at home these days. So it should make everyone's lives easier.
That's a nice little perk.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And so I see another question. It's interesting that we do not require BA or BS in psychology. What is the thinking of DMU that's different than other schools? If I were to answer this, I would just say that we do acknowledge that people have career changes over the course of their lives. Everyone doesn't go straight from their bachelor's to our master's degree programs. So that would be my first thing. People may change from another career to mental health, which is what makes our program. So it's not necessarily just blocking out or restricting everyone else who didn't have that previous experience. Julie, I'm sure you can give even more detail.
Yeah, our training is complete. So we will teach you, and we'll teach you in according to our Catholic Christian meta model of the person. So Ebony's absolutely right. Many of our people who come to us have had a career. They've had some life experience. They're looking to change careers, or they're looking for, a second or third career that will take them into their retirement years. We do not require a bachelor's and undergrad with any psychology background because our training is complete.
All right, and the last question that we'll take today. Earlier you mentioned that the full-time study is about 36 hours commitment per week. Does that include study time and the online coursework?
Yeah, that's everything. Watching your lectures, doing your reading, doing your assignments. Obviously, some students will be at the lower end of that, and some will be, maybe need an extra hour. I don't know. But that's a pretty safe bet. If you focus that kind of time on your studies, you will flourish in this program.
All right, and Julie, I know that this is kind of an off-the-cuff question that I'm asking here, but would you be able to share like examples of internships that some of our students have had, and then we'll just let everyone go. I know that there are so many different backgrounds here today, and just want to give them an idea of what they can actually do as far as the practical work.
Yeah, if you want to read the specifics of internships and how they're sought out and landed, you can look on our website at the program handbook, and there it's detailed in there exactly how that works. I believe that they will encourage you to find an internship that will give you the broadest experience. Sometimes if you go into a private practice, it can be a little competitive trying to, I mean, that's the bread and butter in a private practice, and they don't want to give their billable hours to some intern. So they'll encourage you to go to a larger center, you know, where there is a little less competition. So addiction center, jails, prisons, schools. There are, you know, you can do your internship under anybody who has a license. So MD, PsyD, licensed clinical social worker. So the opportunities are many. And like I said, our directors of internship, Dr. Keys is for the East and Dr. Sharp is for the West. You can find their bios on our counseling pages of our website. And they will work with you to help you identify the best choices for you based on the kind of counseling work you'd like to do. And they will help you land those internships. Our internship placement, as I mentioned, is 100%. You will get one and we will help you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Julie. So thank you everyone for joining us today. If you have any further questions, I saw just one last one. Yes, this will prepare you to become an LPC, licensed professional counselor, or
Yeah,
LMH.
Sorry, Ebony, check counseling.org. The designation varies by state. LPC is very typical, but it may not be that in your state. So please check counseling.org to find out what letters you quote unquote get after you graduate. Okay.
Thank you, Julie. So everyone, make sure that you keep this date in mind, June 1st. That's our deadline to make sure that you can qualify not only for our early admission scholarship, but our $55 application fee, which we've had in this bright red right here in the middle of the page. But just in case you forgot, make sure you click the pay by check option, and that will make sure that you can get those opportunities. All right, well, you all have a blessed day, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks for setting this up, Ebony.
No problem. All right, bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.